Hello, you're listening to Environmental Soup through the facilities of Trent Radio. My name is Rob, and today I am talking about changes to environmental legislation. Bill 23, um, which is the More Housing Faster Act, and proposed changes to the Greenbelt, as well as COP27 um, in
Sharm el Sheikh,
Sharm el Sheikh, Egypt. I have the wrong thing up. But I'll start with COP news about COP27. There's an International Day of Action coming up on November 12th, 11 to 1 p.m., which is a Saturday. And Four Grandchildren is hosting the event in the Peterborough area at the Ministry of Natural Resources. And there will be a walk to City Hall, ending at, and then going to the Whistle Stop Cafe, where participants can write letters to the local, provincial, and federal politicians. And people are encouraged to bring signs, noisemakers, and it's civil society groups are encouraging a day of action to cut greenhouse gas emissions and shift to low carbon economy. And this is from the website. And Saturday is the midpoint of the COP27 talks. And those calls to end fossil fuel expansion, help the poor and vulnerable communities. And at the beginning of COP27, the United Nations Secretary Antonio Guterres and the United Nations chief, it says in the headline on the CBC, said that the world is on the highway to climate hell without urgent action to cut emissions. And it's about human survival. There's a quote, "Humanity has a choice to cooperate or perish," the UN Secretary told delegates, urging them to accelerate their transition from fossil fuels to speed up funding to poor countries struggling under climate impacts that have already occurred. And then they talked about different conflicts being increased as a result of these conflicts, climate change. And it's Remembrance Day today. So we should remember that a lot of conflicts are caused by uh, climate change and lack of resources. A lot of future conflicts will be about access to water um, and access to food because of the changing weather patterns as a result of climate. I'm just going to see who's in the chat. So far, no one's in the chat. I also post. I should say that I post these on YouTube as well, and I'm recording this on Twitch. And I record these live in advance. Um, um, yeah, and then not enough is being done to address climate change. So I'm just there's an article saying peace is vital for saving climate. And that's in Ukraine. And then there's a lot of articles on COP27. I just saw that there was fossil fuel delegations from Canada at COP27. There was COP27 home. So you can see all the events. Some of the events are all recorded. You can watch them again. So I'll have to find a lot of those. So where was my church? So while having, why does it show just that? I'll go to. I'm just going to search the registry, get that open. Comment period, notice type. Let's see. So while we're having, the world is having COP27, which is related to climate change. There's changes to Ontario law that will delay climate action and make it climate action more difficult to achieve. And this is because, and these are all proposed policy and law changes. Those policies to make it easier to develop wetlands, expand urban sprawl, so more coal dependencies, land use changes, make it land use changes impact climate change, um, and and the buildings that will likely be built are low density residential buildings, uh, clearing a lot of protected lands, including wetlands. Um, so I went to a meeting, and Anne Bell of Ontario Nature had three major concerns um, related to Bill 23. Uh, the override of the democratic process, conservation authorities being prohibited from entering agreements with municipalities, and threats to wetlands. And then all wetlands are now at risk. There might not be a provincial policy statement. Phil Fartham of Environmental Defense said that homes would be more expensive. There would be fewer homes built, and then they would be built on environmentally sensitive land. It would destroy regional planning. That it would waste construction and infrastructure. Mechanisms to provide parks, alts, would all be stripped away. And it would not be a watershed planning. Instead, there would be over 400 municipalities instead of at the conservation authority level. And then Phil said there's no requirements for conservation authorities to look at pollution or land conservation. There's no requirement for conservation authorities to sign off on developments, and municipalities can walk into stuff without knowing what they're doing. And then those demonstrated that we have enough land for the next 50 years without touching the greenbelt. And then it's part of a major problem. So, and then municipalities are now forced to accept urban sprawl undemocratically. So I'm gonna go. Okay. Those I'll try to find the ones about the green belt. Doug Ford promised not to touch the green belt several times, and has it is proposing to um, do that. Propose. So I'll look at the proposed amendments to the Greenbelt Plan. And this has the number of 019-6216, and you can comment on until December 4th, 2022. And then you're also encouraged to write to your MPPs, opposition MPPs. And I should say, when you're looking at the environmental registry, there's a specific person to accept emails. This one has greenbeltconsultation@ontario.ca. Um, so you want to be mindful of that if you're sending an email. Oh, there's someone in the. I hear someone in the chat. Oh, is waiting with a Podia 5. Awesome. Yeah, thank you, Danny. My homie Tutelo. I appreciate it, you listening, joining me. I'm just talking about the green belt. Hi, Angel Wyatt. Yeah. So I have maps of all the land grabs. Yes, there's a comment. We need to save the green belt. And one way to do that is to be engaged with the environmental registry, showing up to rallies like the one on Saturday, 11 a.m. In front of the Ministry of Natural Resources. It's a climate rally organized by four grandchildren. I'm trying to find. Oh, I don't know if I can click on the maps. Maps. I know that there is access to the maps. I have seen the maps, but redesignation, removal maps. I was just going to show like that it's loading. Yeah, so the blue area shows where they're getting rid of some of the what do you call it? Some of the green belt with the hashed lines, and as you can see, there's also a natural heritage system, and the environmental wetland evaluation system was basically gutted, and it's easier to not have provincially significant wetlands anymore. So there's that one, and York. And then I learned that like Peterborough. I checked the city of Peterborough. City of Peterborough doesn't have its official plan approved. So what happened in city of Hamilton? That's consoling, and it doesn't benefit. It's really benefiting developers that are supportive of Doug Ford. Um, no, Noel, the newspaper has an excellent article covering some of these changes. I recommend reading that if you have a chance. There's no paywall, which I like. A lot of news sites have that. Um, and yeah, I read that 80 to 90% of wetlands currently off limits for development will be reopened for development. Oh, this was at one of the meetings. Environmental defense has pages as well, campaign pages. Yeah, so that's one. So I'll look back at some of the maps. Dark blue, natural heritage system. So you get the idea. Basically, get the idea. They all proposing to add land as well. Yes, I like the logo, the clown, Doug Ford the clown. Yeah, so they all proposing to add land, but that's land that's already been protected or that's not being built anyways. The argument against building on these lands is, well, one, we don't need them. Environmental defense has an analysis that we can build. We have like 30-year supply. And then the justification about immigrants that Doug Ford made at a news conference that yesterday didn't hold water. And the argument that, and he's not even listening to his own expert opinions on there was a housing task force that released a report this year that said land is not the issue. And so he's saying that there wasn't a housing problem 4 years ago. I know that there was, and it's more like an affordability, but the housing task force said that land is not an issue, and we know that Doug Ford had a meeting with developers prior to being elected the first time, and that developers are gaining from these developments. Yeah, and then there's a bunch of other registry notices on the act. Registry noticed yeah, supporting growth in housing in York and Durham Regions Act. That has a number of 019-61692, November 24th. I'll just quickly go through these. Review of a place to grow and provincial policy statement 019-6177. There's a bunch of them. Conserving Ontario's Natural Heritage 019-6161, December 30th. And then Doug Ford, according to the Association of Municipalities of Ontario, those indications from previous legislation that there hasn't been consultation. So check this out. Those. I'll mention some of the other groups. Acorn Canada saying Doug Ford's More Homes Built Faster Act destroys cities' powers to build and protect real affordable housing. So it's not just environmental groups concerned. So that's something that you might be interested in. I found this. I didn't read it before I came on here. So Queens. There was an article in the University of Waterloo from a professor, Don Polkel, about the act, saying that affordability is impossible to meet because of the changes in the act. There's nothing really focused environmental. So go to environmental defense. Canadian Environmental Law Association. So there is also the U.S. election happening. So hopefully the Democrats win in the U.S., but or climate-friendly politicians. I should say that because I'm also posting this on the radio. It's I think it was Canadian Environmental Law Association. Canadian Environmental Law Association. The Canadian Environmental Law Association has I think it was the Canadian Environment. Well, I know one of them does have a landing page. Action. That might not. Okay. Yes. So they have a landing page reviewing Bill 23. They have links to blogs from the Advocacy Centre for Tenants in Ontario, Environmental Defence Conservation Ontario, 50 by 30 OW. They have a webinar series which is on YouTube. There's committee hearings on this bill. This bill is taking away rights to appeal, conservation authorities, limiting that, and they have dates on November 9th, 10th, 16th, and 17th. And those are in person. Dates. But you can also make a written submission, and that's encouraged if you don't have expertise. And the deadline for that is 7 p.m. on Thursday, November 17th. And then there's a posting chart. Yeah, okay, this has a neat list of all the ones that are connected to the environmental, specifically Bill 23. So I can quickly go through them. Proposed Planning Act and Development Charges Act. And the deadline to comment is November 24th. Proposed Planning Act and City of Toronto Act changes, November 24th. And then one thing that you can do is ask for an extension. Some of you might be students, but 30 days is not a lot of time to comment. This is in a period of transition as well, so a lot of city councils can't really comment on these changes. Some people that have spoken on panel discussions related to this, webinars, they say that it might have been done on purpose. So asking for 90 days is something that can be done. What was that? And linking it to COP27, it is key right now because COP27 is in the news. And then so there's more proposed Conservation Authorities Act and regulatory changes, November 24th. I might have missed a couple, but you can still find them on the environmental registry. Proposed natural hazardous regulatory changes, December 30th. Proposed inclusionary zoning, December 9th. Proposed changes to Ontario Regulation 299/19, December 9th. Proposed supporting growth and housing in York and Durham regions, November 9th, 24th. And then a couple were added on November 8th. Proposed amendments to the Greenbelt Plan, December 4th. And November 8th was a Friday. Proposed amendments to the Greenbelt area boundary. Proposed redesignation of land under the Oak Ridges Moraine. And December 4th. Proposed municipal, and then these are regulatory postings. Proposed Municipal Act and City of Toronto Act changes November 24th. Proposed Ontario Land Tribunal Act changes November 25th. Proposed Ontario Underground Infrastructure Notification November 25th. Proposed New Home Construction Licensing Act regulatory changes December 9th. Proposed Building Code regulatory changes December 9th. And then policy changes. So these are like the last couple. Provincial policy statement and a place to grow, December 30th. Proposed revocation of the Parkway Belt West Plan, December 30th. Proposed revocation of the revocation. They're getting rid of it. Okay. This November 24th of the Central Pickering Development Plan. Conserving Ontario Natural Heritage, December 30th. Ontario Wetland Evaluation, November 24th. Potential measures to support the rent to own, December 9th. And like these don't have to be perfect, but if you interact, that would be appreciated. Anyways, I know a lot of you have left. I just wanted to thank you for joining. If anyone's in the chat still, let me know, and we can. I finished what I planned to talk about. So if you have any suggestions for additional topics, that would be appreciated. But I also recognize that it's also starting to get a little bit late. So I'm just going to pause for a second. Yeah, well, I don't see anyone else in the chat, but thank you for joining my stream. It's very appreciated. And I hope that you enjoy the rest of your week.